everyone, and welcome to the RV Inspection and Care podcast and video. I'm Dwayne, and I'm a certified RV inspector. And today we're going to be talking about how to retire in an RV the right way. You know, a lot of folks dream about that, about retiring and then traveling the country in an RV, and that's great. In fact, that's what we did too. And we have enjoyed it immensely, and we highly recommend it to others. And in this video, we're going to share some of the most important things that we did to transition into RVing that worked out very well. Now, not everything we did worked out really well, but that's for another video. Today, we're going to talk about the advice we can give you to successfully make that transition and retire in an RV the right way. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And number one, I encourage you, make sure that you can spend lots of time with whatever partner you're traveling with in a small space for a long time. This is really important. Whatever partner you may have, you know, unless you're traveling by yourself, but in most cases, people travel with someone else. And if you do, you'd better make sure that you can get along with them in a very small area. When you're in a house, somebody can go in another room, or they can get in the car and go somewhere and that kind of thing. But when you're in an RV, you're going to be in a small space, and it's not going to be easy to get away. So make sure that you can get along pretty well with the partner that you're traveling with in a small space. My next suggestion is that if you're new to RVing, then there's a couple of things that I'm going to encourage you to do. Number one, you could rent an RV through outdoorsy.com or rvshare.com. And that's a great idea because you don't actually have to own an RV that way, but you can spend time in them. You can also try out different kinds of RVs, you know, A's, B's, C's, towable RVs, and things along that line. So consider renting first, and that way you don't have the big investment yourself going out in an RV before you get started full-time RVing. Now, my next suggestion is, in some cases, you may want to actually go ahead and buy a smaller RV. That's what we did. We actually bought a little travel trailer, and you can see it right here. It was only about 17 feet long, but you know what? It was a great little RV, and we loved it. And we went all over Florida in that RV, and we learned about RVing that way. You know, you're going to learn about things like how to get in and out of campsites, how to hook up and how to tear down when you're there, how to tow it, and, you know, all the little idiosyncrasies of using an RV while you're camping. You're going to learn those things. If you're new to RVing, this is the way to do it. And by the way, even though we bought that little travel trailer, at the end when we were ready to go full time, we sold it, and we even made a nice little profit off of it. So it is possible to do that. But the most important thing is try to find a way to learn RVing before you go out there and start full-timing or retire in an RV. Now, my next suggestion is if you're going to actually buy a motorhome, you've made that decision. For instance, especially if it's a bigger one, you know, one like a Class A or even a Super C, well, then you're going to need to learn how to drive that. And if you have not done that before, this can be intimidating. Here's my suggestion. Rent one of those. Rent the size that you're actually looking to buy, and then take it to an empty parking lot, somewhere where nobody is around, and then drive it around. Back it up. Learn how to turn it, because that's the best way to learn how to drive. You're not under pressure. You're not stressed because nobody's around you, and there's little chance of doing damage. So that's a great way to learn how to drive a bigger RV. My next suggestion is before you get out there, before you retire in your RV, plan ahead very well. Learn as much as you can. Watch YouTube videos. That's what we did. We had our favorite channels and we watched them very carefully. Now, let me give you a warning here, though. Don't just watch travel videos. These days, there's more travel channels out there than you can shake a stick at. And yes, they're fun and they're exciting and they're humorous, but you're not necessarily going to really learn an awful lot really by those types of channels. So I recommend make sure you also include channels that will teach you something that you can learn from. Like, for instance, they'll teach you how to maintain your RV. That's going to be huge. A lot of people don't even pay any attention to that. All they're thinking about is just getting out there on the open road and enjoying traveling around. But you know what? If your RV breaks down on you on a regular basis, that's going to take away from your enjoyment of RVing. So learn beforehand the things you need to know to be able to keep on RVing successfully. My next suggestion is visit RV dealers, visit RV shows. Go through as many RVs as you possibly can before you actually buy the one that you're going to retire in. Why do I recommend that? Well, you need to be able to determine which kind of RV is going to fit your style of travel and camping best. But you need to do more than just go in and, look around. Wow, I like this, or I don't like that. Well, those are good things to do, but you need to try to determine, can I live in this RV? Here's my recommendation. Lay on the beds, sit in the chairs, sit on the toilet, believe it or not. Go stand in that shower and see, can you move around enough in the shower? Open up the cabinets. You know what? That's an interesting one. You may find tons of cabinets as you go in there. You look around, it seems like there's all kinds of cabinets. But when you open them, they may only be just a few inches deep, because that's the way RVs are. Space is at a premium. So get used to the living part of an RV. And you can do that if you go in and out of a lot of RVs and just kind of try them out as you go. My next suggestion is when you get ready to buy an RV, get a quality one that's going to last. If you're going to retire in this RV, don't go cheap here. It's important to get quality. That's why I put out a lot of guidebooks to help you in that area about how to buy quality Class A's, Class B's, Class C's, travel trailers, and fifth wheels. Make sure you use those guides that I provide, because I give you a list of the brands that you really need to be focusing on. Now, the other thing is I also produced a couple of guidebooks about the buying process itself, how to buy new RVs, how to buy used RVs. If you use the information in those guidebooks, you will save thousands of dollars in most cases. Now, my next suggestion is before you get out there and before you retire in an RV, start downsizing. Most of us are probably going to come from a home, and that home may have anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 to 3,000 square feet of living space. And now when you go into the RV, you know how much living space you're going to have? Probably only about 300 square feet or less. So start downsizing. Start getting rid of things, because you're really just not going to have the room for it. This is also a very good time for you to start making some decisions about what kind of RVing you're going to do. For instance, decide whether you're going to be a full-time RVer or a part-time RVer. What is going to be the style of your travel? If you're a full-timer, well, you're going to be out there pretty much all the time, moving around somehow. If you're a part-timer, you're going to have a spot where you stay quite a bit of the year. So think about that. What is the plan on that? Decide also whether you're going to cut the cord entirely or you're going to still have a home base to come back to. This is a huge decision. Now, our decision was we cut the cord, which meant everything we own was in our RV. And that's really not a bad decision at all. A lot of people do that. It's very freeing to get rid of a lot of the unnecessary things that you have and that you've accumulated over many years. However, if you have done this for a while, you'll kind of note that a lot of the full-time RVers who've been around, they eventually kind of get a home base because it can be kind of important to have an area where you can go if you need to rest up or you have some need to kind of spend your time in one place for a while. Now, COVID kind of taught us about that having a home base is not a bad idea. So think about that. Decide, are you going to cut the cord, or are you going to have a home base, or are you going to make that decision about the home base maybe a little bit farther down the line? It's just good to have a plan in that direction. Now, my next suggestion is no matter what kind of RV you get, usually there's some kind of towing that's going to go on. And so learn about towing. This is a whole part of RV life that many people don't even pay any attention to until the last minute. Well, there's a lot of things to know about towing and how to get the right equipment and how to tow right, how to back up the way you should, and so on. So learn how to do that. My last suggestion is learn ways to save money on RVing before you get out there and retire in the RV. If you wait till you retire in the RV, well, you're going to waste an awful lot of money trying to learn how to save money out there. Instead, try to find ways to save money on camping, on travel costs, on RV repairs and maintenance before you get out there. Now, I made a video not long back on how to do that, and a podcast as well. So be sure to watch the video or listen to the podcast because the suggestions I provided in there are invaluable ways to be able to save money. In fact, you'll save thousands every single year if you follow the tips and the guidance that I provided there. Okay, well, deciding to retire in an RV can be really exciting. There's no question about that. But it can also be very intimidated. And if you're intimidated, don't feel bad. Don't feel like you're weird at all. The thing to do is just don't allow yourself to get overwhelmed in the process of preparing for retiring in an RV. My recommendation is stay calm, take it slow and easy, take it in a manner that you feel comfortable with. You don't have to be in a rush to do it. So do it as you feel comfortable. Now, if you do and you follow the guidelines I've talked about in this video, you can not only retire in an RV, you can be happy that you did. Well, that's it for now. Have safe and happy travels, my friends. Until next time.